Welcome, volleyball fans. You are listening to the NCAA Volleyball Division I Tournament action here on Big Ten Network. Tonight we are live from the UW Fieldhouse in Madison, Wisconsin. Alongside me, Scott Memel. My name is Elise Romas. Facing off tonight, we have the Illinois State Redbirds and the Wisconsin Badgers here on their home court. Illinois State last night coming back from a 2-0 deficit against Marquette. Quite an intense match. Let's look at some highlights here from the Wisconsin and Western Michigan match, though. Top hitters were Haley Nelson and Ellen Chapman. Scott, what are we looking at right now for tonight after these players?
Excuse me, Elise. You're looking at two players who are able to see the court, see what the defense is doing, and then trying to find the holes. For Ellen Chapman, the last two seasons has led the Badgers in kills per set. Haley Nelson, a big role as a blocker, but she can also score points as well, as we saw here.
Absolutely. Just look at how they read the defense, find those holes in the court, finish the ball. That was the game-winning point right there by Ellen Chapman last night. Sealed the match. There on the court you can see setter Lauren Carlini, sophomore from Aurora, Illinois, who has really led this Badgers team, I would say, these last two seasons. Last year coming in as a freshman and then leading her team all the way to be runners-up in the NCAA National Championship last year against Penn State.
Really a great story. Pete Way was the previous head coach for the Badgers. When he departed and Kelly Sheffield was coming in, there was a lot of question marks. Would Lauren Carlini stick around? Would she go somewhere else? She was the #1 recruit in the nation, the Gatorade Player of the Year, as she's being introduced right now to the crowd at the Fieldhouse. But she said, no, I'm going to stick around. I want to stay here at UW-Madison. I want to take them to a national championship. And what did she do? She did just that, but came just short of getting the win, falling to Penn State. The banner's just to our right, Elise. You can bet that this Badgers team very thirsty to get back to that level once again.
Well, and alongside her, Courtney Thomason, what a career she has had here at Wisconsin. Arguably the best hitter for the Badgers. She is probably the hardest hitter, as we saw last night against Western Michigan. Really came out cranking. Courtney Thomas, one of those people, she has said before time and time again, if she makes a mistake, she will ask Carlini to set her again, just so that she can make up for that mistake. And more often than not, she does.
And that team works great between the two because Courtney Thomas was the setter before Lauren Carlini came in out of high school. So for Courtney Thomas, accepted her new role, was willing to change positions, and you said it, she hits the volleyball harder than just about anybody else in the NCAA.
There we see Kelly Sheffield and Melissa Myers, coaches meeting, exchanging a few words with each other. Kelly Sheffield only his second year as head coach here at Wisconsin. Again last year, leading the Badgers to be runners-up in the tournament, this same tournament, and he's 2 for 2 right now in tournament berths for the Badgers.
And one of the award winners this year for Wisconsin, sophomore Lauren Carlini, was named the Big Ten Player of the Year, Big Ten Setter of the Year as well, taking both of those honors. Junior Taylor Morey, their libero, we'll talk about her a lot more in this one. She was named the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, and then finally head coach Kelly Sheffield, only 2 years in the Big Ten, but named the Big Ten Coach of the Year. The Badgers nearly sweeping the awards. Really incredible what they were able to do this season.
Correct. The only award not awarded to the Badgers was Freshman of the Year, which almost went to Kelly Bates.
So nearly a sweep for the Badgers. I mean, we're talking about a lot of different names right now, Elise, and we'll talk about it more in the broadcast, but this is a Badgers team with a lot of depth, a lot of strong players that are going to do a lot of different things at the net. But it helps when you've got a strong libero behind you, a setter getting everything set up at the net. You'll see a lot of depth from the Badgers team. Their work is a well-oiled machine.
As Lauren Carlini goes to the back line to set up her serve. And we are off here at the UW Fieldhouse. It's dug up, gone to the weak side, and is out. Outswing point awarded to the Badgers. Carlini running back quickly to get her next serve off.
I believe that was Jalen Keene there on the far side, trying to go across the court. Just a little over-aggressive, giving the point to the Badgers.
Ball popped up by Orick, back set from early. Down the line again for Keene, but another mistake by Keene, something we did not see from her last night, who had a career high of 19 kills.
On that occasion, tried to do the exact opposite, go down the far sideline, but also just couldn't find the court.
Almost a little miscommunication there between two players. It's dug up by Morales. The 3 set goes to Nelson from Carlini, and it's dug up there by Niao. Free ball it over. Badgers side go outside to Bates. It is dug up by Rush. back to the Badgers. Thomas. She is blocked, but the block is deflected out of bounds, and Carlini goes back once again to serve. It is 3-0, Badgers leading.
Something you can't do if you're the Redbirds is send free balls over for the Badgers. They have so much depth at the net, as we've talked about. If they stay in system, they're methodical on offense.
Again, a little bit of a shot there from Keene, more success. Early goes back to Keene on the slide, and she finds the hole in the middle of the court. Point, Illinois State.
Nice job by Keene. They'll need her, only a freshman, maybe a little overexcited coming into this one, second run of the NCAA tournament. That was just a nice job finding the hole in the defense, not being flustered by her first two mistakes.
Stacey Niao serving right now. She leads the team in service aces on the season. Ball popped up by Morales, set in the middle to Thomas. Dug up by Mori, goes back to Thomas, and the ball is hit cross court out of bounds by Thomas. A mistake that she does not like to make. She can't be happy after that one.
Yeah, for Courtney Thomas, she's going to put a lot behind the ball, and so sometimes you'll see that error just hitting it a little too hard.
Ball is received by Nelson as Carlini sets out to Bates. Bates, ball blocked out of bounds, point Wisconsin.
I do want to mention before we get too deep into the broadcast, you're looking at two teams that have about as much momentum as you could ever have coming into this match. Obviously, both winning their first round NCAA tournament games, but also second nationally are the Redbirds. They have 23 straight match wins. The Badgers just a little bit behind with 20.
And as you see there, Ashley Rush, the statistically best player on the Redbirds, finding that hole in between the block there on the outside and getting the point for her team.
Rush, 3.49 kills per set, leading all players on the court today.
Dug up by Maury, a little set to Nelson out of the middle, and point goes to Wisconsin as Nelson exchanges with Dominique Thompson. A shorter middle for Wisconsin, but at 5'11", but she has quite some jump to her play. A little bit of some action there. Ulrich dug up by early. Wisconsin has it. Thompson, good cut shot there to the left side of the court, and it's point Wisconsin.
So far, what's telling the entire story, the Badgers trying to pull away here, now up 3 points, their largest lead. Badgers hitting .375. Currently the Redbirds at 0-0.
Nelson with the serve, dug up by Niao. Early goes to the outside for Rush, and that is a double hit for the Redbirds. So the point will go back to Wisconsin, and Nelson goes back to the line to serve again. Some
unforced errors here early on by Illinois State. Tough atmosphere to play in. It's technically a neutral site, but certainly a home crowd feel for the Wisconsin Badgers in Madison.
And that would be an ace for Haley Nelson as Burris makes the mistake for the Redbirds.
Haley Nelson, third on the team in aces, now has 17 on the season.
Or it goes outside to Rush again. Dug up by Nelson. Little bit of miscommunication. Carlini pops it up to the outside of Chapman, who gets it over. Redbirds have another chance as it's blocked back onto their side. They go back row for Niao. Thomas back set to Thompson. Dug up by Burris, back to the outside to Rush. The block isn't quite closed there, and the ball falls just in front of the net. Point to the Redbirds.
Credit to the Redbirds this season. Elias, a strong offensive team, second in the MVC and .238 hitting percentage. Led the MVC in assists per set and kills per set as well. So took care of business in conference. We'll see if they can continue to do the same against a strong Badgers defense.
Absolutely. As the serve goes over, Carlini back set to Thomas. It is out of bounds again. Look like they don't like the call, but they do get it in their favor as the up ref says that it was touched by a Redbird.
Ultimately, it's the up ref's decision as well. Doesn't matter what the upper refs say. When the up ref says, yep, that's a Wisconsin point, it was a deflection off of Illinois State, that's the call that stands. Kelly Sheffield, a little happier about that one than his opposition, Melissa Myers.
As Thomas goes back to serve, ball is dug up. One-handed set there from early, but it is blocked back to their side. She goes back to her middle. Carlini back set to Thompson. Thompson rips one down, but it is popped up by Niao. Back set. It is deflected off a few Wisconsin players as the ball goes rolling out of bounds. Point to the Redbirds. Got to hand it some good distribution there by Early. Very good one-handed set. We saw a few of those from her yesterday. Ultimately, a good finish there by Schneider.
I also like how they're attacking the Badgers in the middle of the net. Illinois State with the height advantage there, trying to exploit that weakness for the Badgers. Blocking's been an issue for Wisconsin, especially earlier on this season.
As Carlini goes outside to Chapman. Off the block, dug up by Orrick, the libero. One-handed set again. Schneider pops it over, but Thomas pops it up. Carlini goes outside to Chapman, who finds Once again, the small little hole in the defense as she taps it over the net.
Ellen Chapman, we talked about it in the pregame as we were watching those highlights, is able to do so much offensively for the Badgers. She'll go across court with the kill. She'll send it down the line. She can generate a lot of power, not as much maybe as Courtney Thomas, but that time just a little more finesse, finding the hole in the defense and following up nicely here.
Second ace of the night for Wisconsin, speaking of Chapman's abilities. Just a close one, but a little trickle over the net. And just like that, it's 11-5, Wisconsin leading.
Now 18 service aces on the year for Chapman.
Serve is over, popped up. Early goes outside to Neo. Neo goes cross court. Mori cannot quite get there as she dives. The exchange happens, and none other than the freshman Keene comes back in for the Redbirds to play middle. Orick with the serve. And it's over. Popped up by Morales. Carlini outside to Kelly Bates. Kelly Bates pushed to the back left corner, but it's popped up by Rush. Goes to the middle. Thompson, good up by her. Kelly Bates swing, but it is popped up again. Thompson winning the battle at the net. Early going back row forward. Rush again. Mori, dig. Carlini to the backside. Thomas with a good up on that block. Good block coverage by her. Another dig by Thomas. Back row tip for her. But it's popped up by Orick, and this rally is still going on. Another dig for Thompson as Carlini makes the mistake of trying to dump the ball, but just dumps it into the net.
Best rally of the night so far, maybe the best rally we'll see all told in this one. Very nice back and forth by both teams. Just an unforced error there by Lauren Carlini at the net.
Serve by Orick is passed by Morales. Good pass goes outside to Bates, and it is in the back left corner. Something that Bates has said that she has been working on since early on in the season. She has finally started to find her groove. If you look at this replay, wonderful line shot there, just going around her blocker, and just like that, Wisconsin has the ball back. Mori serve. Goes to Rush, a little bit of a problem, but Meow somehow gets it over. And it is crushed by Nelson. Never want to overpass with this Wisconsin defense.
Certainly more or less a free ball over. The Redbirds just lucky to get it over the net. Haley Nelson had enough of that, able to get the kill right down the center of the court.
Mori again with the serve. Popped up by Rush in the middle back. Early goes way back outside to Smith. Popped up Carlini backside to Nelson. A little bit late on that slide. Early backside to Smith again, and she gets her kill. A lot of celebration on that one as Burris comes in for Smith after that electrifying kill.
For Illinois State, yesterday, trail a lot of categories, but one category they didn't trail into Marquette was digs. It's an area that's going to keep them in this match. They obviously need to follow up with kills. That was a nice last play for them. They're going to need to keep the Badgers off balance defensively.
Again, Lauren Carlini unsuccessful with her dump, but the Badgers get it back and make the Redbirds play. Another dig for Thomas in the back as Morales gives a little cut shot. Early will swing. Morales, a bump up. Mori back row for Thomas. Thomas will kill it over, attack it over, excuse me. And Mori is just late on the dig. Really good hit there by the Redbirds.
And you said it, Taylor Mori, she knew it immediately, just a little bit late getting to the ball, couldn't get her hands up in time. Big moment here by the Redbirds trying to whittle away at this Badgers lead.
As Burris serves, it is out of bounds. Now, like you said last night, Scott, that was something that the Redbirds were ahead of Marquette on. They had Marquette had 6 more missed serves than the Redbirds did, and that ultimately could have been what helped them win.
That really hurts you, especially in what's more or less a road game for the Redbirds. You don't want those mistakes to end your momentum. They're trying to get back in it. Now back down 5.
And Bates with the cross-court shot. Kelly Bates, the freshman for Wisconsin, 5'11". Front row attack, just that nice little look in the defense. She gets that kill cross-court. We will step away for just a few moments here, but we will be back in just a little bit here on Big Ten Network. And welcome back to Division I NCAA Volleyball. You are watching the Wisconsin Badgers against the Illinois State Redbirds. Score is Wisconsin leading 15-9. Lauren Carlini after this timeout going back to serve for the Badgers.
Carlini leads the team, 41 aces coming into the tournament. Certainly always dangerous when she serves.
Carlini serve to Orick early, back set to Keene, and Carlini doesn't quite have enough muster to get that one up.
Nice looking shot there by Keene. And just a freshman, but so far making a big impact. Listed at 6'2", one of the taller players on the court. 2.92 kills per set for the Redbirds.
As Neo goes back to serve, it is out of bounds. Another missed serve for the Redbirds. Can't make those kind of mistakes against a ranked team like Wisconsin.
So in the last couple of points, they've had their chances to try and whittle away at this lead. But ultimately, the combination of the service errors we've seen in the last couple plays, and also the Badgers just staying strong offensively.
Ooh, and another missed serve, this time by Kelly Bates, the freshman. Again, Kelly Bates, new to the serving. Carolyn Workman, out with a hip injury. The older defensive specialist, senior from Los Angeles, California, used to serve for Bates, but since her injury, Bates is having to serve for herself. Carlini gets the dig as Thomas goes to the outside, and Ellen Chapman gets that kill down the cross court back. Neal couldn't quite pop that one up.
It makes the Badgers so dangerous. They have so many players at the net who's capable of getting a kill. So far, Courtney Thomas with 2. Kelly Bates has 3. 2 for Nelson, 1 for Thompson, and also 2 for Ellen Chapman.
And Neal there with the good pop-up, ultimately winning the point for the Redbirds. Wisconsin had a couple of flukes there on their side. As Early, the setter, is now in the back row. She goes to the back line to serve. And the serve is up, and it is over, and it is out of bounds once again.
I was about to say, Elise, I'm looking at the stat sheet right now, and everything is very similar. Kills 10-9, Badgers lead. Hit percentage 267 to 233, Badgers barely lead. It's the service aces versus the service errors that hurts. That's the third service ace to 3 errors by Illinois State. It's those small things, Elise, but that makes a difference in the NCAA tournament.
And Courtney Thomas's service ace forces the Redbirds to call a timeout. We will be back after a few moments here with more NCAA tournament action. And we are back at the UW Fieldhouse in Madison, Wisconsin. You are watching NCAA Division I tournament volleyball action. Right now we have the Wisconsin Badgers playing the Illinois State Redbirds. Wisconsin leading before that timeout 19-12. Courtney Thomas goes back to serve as the band hurriedly finishes their on Wisconsin round. As Thomas serves. Ball popped up by Neo. Early. Back row for Neo again. It is dug up by the freshman Kelly Bates. The set goes to the slide for Dominique Thompson, and it is a kill for the Badgers.
Just want to follow up on the previous point just to show you how even things are generally. Kills are 11-9, as I mentioned. Hitting percentage just about the same. Digs are exactly the same. Assists exactly the same. So what do you look at? It's in the errors thus far by Illinois State.
And as you just saw in that last replay, Dominique Thompson on that slide. However, Courtney Thomas unsuccessful with that dig off of that tricky play from the Redbirds. They maintain the serve. 20-13 Wisconsin. Rush serves the ball. Up by the libero Mori. Slide again to Thompson. It is blocked by Neo, but tipped up. Early goes back to Neo. It is a line shot and a kill for Neo, the New Zealand native.
Neo right there, not only getting the nice save ultimately on one side of the net, but then getting a kill of her own down the near side line. Badgers didn't see it coming.
Rush with the serve. Popped up by Thomas. Carlini back again for Thompson on the slide, and it is blocked out of bounds. Point to the Badgers.
Dominique Thompson was one of those spark plugs last year in the Final Four in the national championship run for the Badgers. When they needed a couple of points, now senior Dominique Thompson came up huge, doing the same thing here in this first set.
Chapman on the serve. Passed by Orick. Goes to Schneider. Carlini will keep the ball in the back row as Chapman tips it over. Saved by Orick. Early goes back set to Schneider again. Smith. Carlini pops the ball up. Kelly Bates. Again, another line drive down to the back left corner of the Redbirds court.
And that's all made possible by a great dig by Taylor Maury. You don't always look at the libero as being in a necessarily important position. You go, well, how important could that be, just getting digs? It's huge, because without her, that play's not possible. A nice dig, setting up Carlini nicely, allowing the setter to get the ball over to her teammate, Kelly Bates.
Back set to Smith is a kill. Looked like Thompson was a little late there on the block. Chapman will go out, and Demi Morales will come in for the Badgers to play some defense.
One of my favorite things to say during a broadcast, Demi Morales coming in. Listen, at 5'7", the same height as you, Elise, she has a 32-inch vertical. 32 inches. We'll see if she can make an impact when she's on the court. This year it's been Kelly Bates getting more and more involved.
And as you just saw, Kelly Bates getting blocked there as the ball ricocheted off her own body and out of bounds. Redbirds maintain the point. Oric with the serve. Dug up by Morales. Set back row for Courtney Thomas. It is popped up. A tip there by Keene, but the ball is saved. Still on the Redbird side. Niao will hit it over. Maury attempting to dive for that, but the ball goes flying out of bounds on that touch, and Oric maintains the serve. There is a little bit of a run going on here, Scott. What do we think about this? What are the Redbirds doing now that they haven't been doing before?
Well, I'll give them a lot of credit. You know, a lot of teams would say, oh, we're already down 7 at the field house, essentially an away crowd. The way they were getting back was they were minimizing mistakes, and as I say that, another service error, their 4th already of this set, is killing their momentum, and it gives the Badgers just 2 points away from their first set win.
Taylor Morey again back to serve. Up by Rush. Middle set to Keenan. It is nearly blocked by Nelson. The Redbirds maintain it, but it's back on their side. Morey with the up. Carlini to the outside for the 3 set. And Bates finds the hole in the block off of that wonderful split of a 3 set and gets the kill.
This is a resilient Illinois State Redbirds team, but they can only do so much against the high-powered offense of the Badgers.
Forcing the Redbirds to call a timeout.
So we'll head to break here, Elise, but so far a good-looking set here by the Badgers. Can they pick up the win?
Welcome back to NCAA Volleyball Tournament action. This is the Division I game. Wisconsin Badgers versus the Illinois State Redbirds. Wisconsin on the verge of winning the set as Taylor Morey waits to serve. Crowd is on their feet. Morey serves. Ball passed by Rush. Early goes outside to Miao. It is blocked by Carlini and Nelson together. And just like that, Wisconsin wins the first set 25-17.
And how do they do it? On their first block of the evening, an area where they struggled at times this season. Pick up the set, win with the block, but ultimately it was a variety of different offensive players getting involved for the Badgers. Give them a lot of credit.
And with that, we will step away for a few more moments, but we will be right back with set number 2 here on Big Ten Network. And welcome back to set number 2 of this tournament matchup for NCAA Volleyball. Wisconsin Badgers, it is now 1-0 against the Illinois State Redbirds. The Badgers winning that set 25-17. Scott, what do we see in that first set that caused the Badgers to propel themselves to that victory?
Well, if you look at the stat sheet, by and large, things pretty even. Badgers just 1 more kill. Assists were even. Only 1 block by the Badgers. You see that the hitting percentage not terribly different. Diggs exactly the same, but the bottom stat is what's significant. 3 service aces for the Badgers, made even more significant by the fact that Illinois State had 4 service errors of their own. So you're talking about 7-point swing right there at the service line. That's a big deal because that ultimately spelled the difference in that one, an 8-point win for the Badgers.
It was about how much they won by, too. About 8 points, I think they won by.
25-17.
25-17. As both teams are getting ready, Sierra Burris will go back to serve for the Redbirds.
Remarkable how similar the stats were. Sorry to interrupt you there, Elise, but ultimately it's the little things in the NCAA tournament that matter.
Absolutely. As Haley Nelson gives a free ball. Early will set it outside to Niao. Niao's hit is popped up by Thomas, but is flung out of bounds. Point to the Redbirds.
Yeah, credit to Carlini just getting a hand on that one, trying to get it over, but just couldn't find the court going out on the far side, right on where it says Wisconsin.
Burris to serve again. Ball is up and over. Pass by Morey to Carlini. Carlini outside to Kelly Bates. Kelly Bates tries the tip, but it's popped up by Niao. Early tries to go back row for Rush, and it's dug up by Wisconsin, but a couple of Redbirds find a spot. Another good, it looked like the pancake was up for Courtney Thomas, but the up ref called that ball down. Wisconsin now trailing 2-0.
If you're Illinois State, there's no reason to panic at this point. You're a team that's very resilient, came back down 0-2 to Marquette yesterday, and now that's their 3rd win coming back from an 0-2 deficit. No need to panic. Keep playing your offense. They're a team that's capable of playing Wisconsin well. We'll see if they can do so here.
Good coverage there by both teams defensively. Amazing coverage there by Taylor Morey. Defensive Big Ten Player of the Year right there. covered that little back dump that Early was trying to do. Very tricky to cover on a setter for that second contact. Good job there by Maury. As Carlini goes to serve for the Badgers. Early's slide to Keene is good, but there's still some play going on. They go back outside to Niao, and Niao's tip isn't even over the net. And just like that, 2-2.
Neo trying to be a little too fancy there, was reading the Badgers defense, trying to just hover it over the blockers, but as you said, Elise, just couldn't even get over the net.
Carlini again with a serve, and it's an ace for the Badgers. Another ace for the Wisconsin Badgers.
And no surprise, Lauren Carlini, team leader in service aces.
One of the most aggressive servers on the team. Last year, that was one thing that Kelly Sheffield, one of the first things that he said was that he wanted his team to serve aggressively. As Lauren Carlini serves again, Keene's slide is dug up over by Maury as Early goes to the outside for Niao. And the ball is just in as the line judge is nearly taken out.
Nice little dodge there. I want to go back to the service, aggressive serving real quick. A lot of people watching the Penn State National Championship last year would have said, wow, the serving, it lost it for the Badgers. How could they have so many service errors? And, well, that's certainly true to a certain extent. The more aggressive you are, you're going to win a lot of points that way, as Kelly Sheffield says, but you'll lose points as well. It benefited the Badgers more in the first set, the Redbirds on the other side of that.
And another little unforced error we see, though, by Nelson on that last play. Again, she didn't quite get the ball over the net like Niao didn't before. As Niao serves the ball over, Bates pops the ball up to Carlini. Carlini outside back to Bates. Bates is blocked, but it's dug up by Maury. Nelson sends it back to Bates. Dug up by Orick. Early sends it outside to Rush. And there was a violation called for Wisconsin. That's unfortunate with the aggressive, scrappy play by both sides. And just like that, the Redbirds' best server is still on her run.
Yeah, a couple unforced errors by the Badgers, keeping what is a strong server at the line for Illinois State.
Popped up by Bates. Carlini back out to Bates. Tries to go over the block, but she hits it out of bounds.
This isn't terribly difficult, Elise. If we go back to the match last night that the Badgers really dominated throughout, the second set was very close, picking it up 26-24. Kind of a little out of system. That's what we're seeing thus far, some unforced errors.
And one of the first vicious hits of the night we've seen from Courtney Thomas out of that middle zone. We haven't seen too much out of her. If you watch this replay, Thomas seeing that block, the double block on Thomas right there, she just hits right to the left side. Nice cut shot there by Thomas. Bates, good serve, popped up by Niao. Early outside to Rush. She is blocked by Thomas and Nelson as the bench celebrates in their little circle.
And here come the Badgers. Here comes the senior Courtney Thomas. You're right, was very quiet in the first set by and large. Now comes with a kill. And on the last play, getting a block with Haley Nelson as well.
Early tries to dump it over, but it is unsuccessfully touched by the Badgers. Early did get her little dump after all. Last night in the game against Marquette, she was pretty successful with a lot of dumps. Carlini, again, also has said that she's been working on that. Ever since that Penn State loss, Carlini has made that a point to go after those setter dumps. As Nelson is called with the double hit, the Redbirds get the ball back. Timeout for the Wisconsin Badgers as they trail 8-5. We'll be right back after this. And welcome back to the UW Fieldhouse in Madison, Wisconsin. You are watching the NCAA Women's Volleyball Tournament for Division I. Before that timeout, we have the Illinois State Redbirds gaining a run against the Wisconsin Badgers. The freshman, Jalen Keene, goes back to serve for the Redbirds. Ball is up, it's over, and it's passed by Bates, goes middle for Courtney Thomas. Early with the set to Schneider. Haley Nelson finally with the put down for Wisconsin as she will trade out for the libero. If you watch this hit right here, Carlini's nice set there. No blockers even for Nelson. Early set to Schneider. Good dig by Carlini. Tipped over by Chapman, but she's unsuccessful. Tipped over by Early. Back out to Chapman. The block for the Redbirds is just tipped off, and that's a kill for Chapman.
And for the Badgers, now it's going to get a little bit closer, but the first set hitting 289, certainly not where you'd want to be if you're the Badgers, but enough to get the win. But here in the second set, it's been a different story. Up until just the last couple of points, we're hitting negative 289. Now back to triple zeros are the Badgers.
And Nelson with the serve there. Meow sets it outside to Rush. Rush is dug by Nelson. Carlini back set to Thomas. Thomas tips it over the block, but Early goes for the kill, the setter for the Redbirds, and she hits it out of bounds, far left side. Nelson going back to serve. Nelson loves playing in the back row. She says that her dream is to be a 6-rotation middle one day.
There you go.
As Early sets the 3 set to Rush, she is nearly blocked as Oric tips it up, and Rush hits it again. Carlini with the save on that. Thomas setting outside to Chapman. Saved by Neo. Outside to Rush again from Early. Almost blocked by Thomas and Thompson, and then Thompson, Dominique Thompson there, winning that aggressive net battle for Wisconsin. Nelson maintains the serve, and Wisconsin climbs ahead, 9-8.
One thing we were talking about, Elise, before the broadcast that really rings true is Lauren Carlini at times will be the one getting the save or the dig. So we have a mistake here by the Badgers. But then Courtney Thomas is the one that'll get the set. They like to do that. It's a seamless transition between the former setter and the current setter, but an unforced error here by the Badgers.
Again, the Badgers have been very successful on that if they need Lauren Carlini to stay back and play defense. Setter Early goes back to serve. Pass by Maury to Thompson is the set, and she just rips that one down. I don't even think there was a blocker in sight on that one.
Lauren Carlini, a cool-looking set there, right around the white line, was able to push the ball up, and right as Dominique Thompson's arm was going forward, was able to make contact, able to get the kill.
Thomas there with the serve, popped up by Niao. Schneider with the hit. Carlini looks for the back line on the dump, but she is just out of bounds on that one. Carlini not as successful with the dumps tonight as she usually is.
And she likes to do that. So far has yet to get a kill and is also hitting negative 600 on the day because of a couple unforced errors like that. Just a little too aggressive, something that went towards the back of the court.
Ball passed by Maury. Tight pass, but Chapman ends up getting the hit on that one. Outside to Niao for the Redbirds, and it is in. Niao finding that zone. Niao was very hot last night in the second set for the Redbirds against Marquette. She had quite a few kills for the Redbirds.
2.3 kills per set for the outside hitting senior.
Early goes middle for Schneider, but it is dug up by Bates. Carlini set outside to Chapman. It is popped up by Oric. Early outside back to Niao. Niao is blocked and cannot cover her block, and Wisconsin is fired up after that.
Trying to get the crowd back into it. Credit to the Redbirds in this set, sticking around, getting some impressive points. They're digging the ball very well, setting up their offense nicely. That's what you have to do against a Badgers team that have so many weapons offensively.
Chapman goes back to serve. Pass by Oric to Early. Early back set to Smith. Up by Maury. Carlini outside to Bates, who just shreds that one down the middle. Nowhere even close to a defender. What a shot by Kelly Bates, the freshman, who last week we watched come back from a 7-point deficit against Illinois for Wisconsin to win that third set.
6 kills now for Bates, leads all players.
The defense there, a little miscommunication perhaps between Bates and Maury. Niao again finding that hole. Demi Morales in for Ellen Chapman for the Badgers.
One set to keep an eye on, Elise. The only one that's really lopsided at this point. 14 blocks for the Badgers, none for the Redbirds thus far.
Set up back to Kelly Bates, who ricochets that off the block and out of bounds. Another great kill for Kelly Bates.
Yeah, cool set so far, an impressive play there by Kelly Bates, giving the Badgers now a 1-point lead. It's been very back and forth. We've had 7 ties and 5 lead changes in just this second set alone.
And the score is 13-12 with the Badgers leading as Maury gets an ace.
That's where Niao, a little miscommunication there, had a teammate behind her. That's Rush, who was ready to get the dig, but ultimately a little miscommunication. Yet another service ace for the Badgers, as you said, Elise.
Maury again with the serve. It's in. Pass by Rush. Early out to Niao. Pass by Maury. Carlini outside to Bates again. Bates hitting right over that block into the campfire in the middle of the court. Kelly Bates.
And this is a crucial moment. We'll get a timeout here. I like the timeout. Badgers with their largest lead of the set.
And with that, we will be back right after this on Big Ten Network. You're watching NCAA Division I Tournament Volleyball. Welcome back to this NCAA Volleyball Tournament matchup. You're watching the Wisconsin Badgers and the Illinois State Redbirds here in Madison, Wisconsin at the UW Fieldhouse. The Badgers' home court. The Badgers were trailing earlier in this set by a few points, but have now climbed back and are leading the Redbirds 15-12 as Taylor Morey serves. Pass by Niao, a little bit off, but early goes up to Rush. Rush hits, it's dug up by Morales. Carlini, slide to Nelson, popped up by Orick. Early tries to get the set to Schneider. Thomas, out to Bates, popped up again by Orick, overpass to Nelson, she gets the kill.
Nice job by Nelson, once again winning the battle at the net. Last year, as a freshman, led the Badgers in blocks per set. That time, just good awareness, hitting a kill right down in front of the net.
Morey with the serve, it's up. It's good as Keene takes that pass. Early outside to Niao, dug up by Morey. Carlini outside to Bates again. Bates goes over the block. It's touched a few times by some Redbirds. And that's another kill again for Kelly Bates. How many kills has Kelly Bates had in this last span of about 6 or 7 points?
Quite a few, to say the least. She now has 9 kills, far and away the most of any player. The next closest is 6 by Niao on the other side for Illinois State. Kelly Bates coming alive, the freshman making an impact.
Niao on the outside, but Morey again with the dig. Nelson tries the one set, but Orick pops it up. One set by Keene is blocked by Nelson, and that one falls. As the Badgers are starting to pull away here on this service run by Morey. Some good action here by the Badgers.
The Badgers kind of imposing their will a little bit. It's really a crucial time for Illinois State. You want to stop the bleeding here. Taylor Morey has been at the service line for quite a while.
And Morey's serve has popped up out to Smith, and she gets that kill on the weak side. The Redbirds haven't seemed to be using the weak side a whole lot, as their setter early is rotated into the front row, and Burris will come in for Smith and go back to serve.
Once again, this is a Redbirds team second in the conference in hitting percentage. They lead the conference in assists per kill and kills, but that makes no difference if you make mistakes like we just saw, Elise.
Another missed serve there by the Redbirds. That is really coming back to bite them. It's Carlini, the most aggressive server for Wisconsin. Gets the ball over. Niao with the pass. It is set back to her, and that is just a little bit tipped by the block and not even within reach for Morey. Another kill for Niao as she goes back, the most aggressive server for the Redbirds, to serve for them.
Big turn of events here. Nice job by the Redbirds getting Carlini off of that service line right away.
Passed up by Nelson. She gets it back on the slide, and Orick, the libero for the Redbirds, is unsuccessful. Ellen Chapman in for the Badgers as Demi Morales goes out. Kelly Bates will be serving now in the back row.
One very impressive stat for the Redbirds. They led the conference 18.24 digs per set. Badgers led the Big Ten, but didn't come close to that number. They'll need those digs to try and come back and stop the Badgers' tide.
And Thomas with the crushing hit, although it is dug up by the Redbirds and sent flying, but dug up by Bates. The set goes out to Chapman. That's dug up by Orick. Early back row for Niao, dug up by Morey. Really tight set. And Carlini tries to tip it over, but she's not successful. The Redbirds get it up, but the Badgers set it out to Chapman. Go back to Early, Keene, who tries to tip it. Thomas out to Chapman. Dig by Orick. There's a tip battle at the net. And then we are still playing. Still playing. Thomas is down. There is a touch by the Redbirds as that kill is touched. They are not happy with it. The Badgers right now have the point. What a rally.
I know I said in the first set, I jumped way ahead of myself. I said we may have seen the best rally in the first set. Not so fast. That very impressive. The Redbirds on a couple of occasions scrambling to get the ball over. Credit to them.
Well, and what I thought I saw was there were 4 hits on the Redbirds side, but apparently they counted one of those hits as a block.
So we have a conversation far side with the scorers table trying to sort that out. The upper ref ultimately gave the point to Wisconsin. So I think we're ready to go.
They will maintain the point, and Bates will continue serving. Pass up by Niao. Early outside to Rush, who just crushes the ball into the middle of the court. Trying to get something going for her team at this point in the game. It's 21-15. The Redbirds, Keene now, they're biggest hitter in the back row serving. They've got to step up a lot.
Nice job by Rush there, looking at the Badger block and just going right down the middle between the two Badger players.
And an overpass as Early crushes the ball again, back row of Wisconsin. No one could have even touched that.
Nice awareness there, ultimately by the Redbirds. Saw that two Badger players, including Taylor Morey, dove to get that dig. Ultimately, they were successful, only getting over the net, but then the Redbirds took advantage, sending the kill right at the two players who were just trying to get up.
A little bit of sweat getting wiped up on the court here as Keene will go out. And number 13, Eliana Lovejoy, will go into serve for the Redbirds. Lovejoy's service up, passed up by Morey. Almost blocked, but dug up by Morey. Set is back out to Chapman. Popped up by Burris. And Schneider's kill. Wonderful read on that for the defense for Schneider. Good spot to find, trying to make the Badgers work. This is what the Redbirds do. They come from behind, and Wisconsin's got to watch out for that right now.
Well, let's not forget, in the fifth set yesterday, Illinois State was down by 5. It was 10-5, and ultimately came back and got the win. But they did so by minimizing mistakes. It's been the opposite story tonight, Elise.
It absolutely has, as Orrick comes back in to play defense for the Redbirds. Haley Nelson will go back to serve.
That's got to be at least the 6th or 7th service error on the evening for the Redbirds.
Absolutely, as the set goes back to Rush. The best hitter for the Redbirds, who was somewhat quiet last evening, is now starting to come alive. Rush has helped the Redbirds team to their first MVC conference tournament title since 1997 this year. Morey pass up to Carlini. Carlini to Thompson, but it's dug up by Miao. Carlini outside to Chapman. Chapman swings, and the block isn't there, and Wisconsin gets that point as well. Wisconsin nearly 2 points away from sealing up the set.
Credit to the Badgers. Sorry to interrupt you there, Elise. For the Badgers, you know, every time it seems like the Redbirds are trying to get a rally going, the Badgers do a nice job of getting that important point to stop the tide.
And Schneider on that tip, but it's up by Morey, and Thomas, Courtney Thomas, out of the back row for Wisconsin, something that they are used to doing with her.
Just shows what she's able to do among the team leaders in several different categories, including sets, in terms of kills per set as well. Now a chance here to get the Badgers a set win.
And the set point serve is up, and it's a little bit of a mistake by Rush, but she gets the ball back, hits it over. Slide to Thompson, unsuccessful. Early, the setter is out. Orrick back set to Rush. Popped up by Morey. Carlini does what she can with it, goes out to Chapman. Orrick, another dig for Orrick. Early, up to the middle set for Schneider. Schneider, another kill for Schneider as the Wisconsin defense had gone scrambling on their side of the court.
Wisconsin Badgers hitting 209 in this set. Big moment here, second set point.
Rush with the serve. Bates with the pass. Carlini, a spectacular set, and that is a kill for Ellen Chapman. What a job there by Lauren Carlini on her knees to get that set outside to Ellen Chapman, as both teams will run to the locker room as Wisconsin seals in the second set 25-19. We will be back with your third set in just under 10 minutes after this break. And welcome back to NCAA Volleyball Tournament action. You are watching the Division I game versus Wisconsin Badgers and Illinois State Redbirds. Alongside me, Scott Memel. My name is Elise Romas, and we are joining you from Madison, Wisconsin at the UW Fieldhouse. Scott, what have we seen so far these first two sets? Wisconsin is leading 2-0. What have the Badgers done to be successful, and what do the Redbirds have to do to come back?
Well, Kelly Bates has been phenomenal for the Badgers. Only a freshman. We'll take a look at some of her highlights here. Really doing a lot of different things for Wisconsin. That time didn't put a lot behind that ball, but still ultimately getting it off the block and for the points. Again, she's only a freshman, but capable of making a lot of plays for the Badgers. One set I want to point out real quick for you, Elise. In terms of serving, we've got two teams that like to be very aggressive at the service line. It's been pretty lopsided today, though. Ultimately, 6 service errors committed by Illinois State. They have no aces. Conversely, the Badgers, 5 service aces. That's an 11-point swing. right there just at the service line. So you look at the other stats, and by and large, pretty even. But in that sense, a big discrepancy, 11 points won by Wisconsin at the service line.
Absolutely. Serving has been very key here in this match. The Badgers having quite a bit of aces, probably the most that they've had, or one of the most that they've had all season. Lauren Carlini goes back to serve to start off the third set. Serve is good. It's dug up by Neow. Early pops up back for Rush. Rush tips it over as Bates pops it up. Carlini to Nelson at the 3 zone, but it's dug up by Neow. Set is back to Neow. Kelly Bates with the dig. Carlini pushing the ball for the back corner, but Burris pops it up early. Outside to Neow again, and it is blocked by Thomas and Nelson. Point for Wisconsin. Pretty good rally to start the third set off of.
And that's on the block right there. That's a category as well where the Badgers really dominated in the first 2 sets. 5 total blocks for the Badgers, none for the Redbirds, and you saw it right there. Now 6 total for the Badgers, winning several points that way as well.
And Jalen Keene, someone who found quite a bit of success last night, not quite as much tonight. If you look at this replay for Keene on that slide, just going around, complete hole in the block. Nelson could not get there in time. Great hit there by Keene. Ball looked like it was going to go out, but Bates popped it up. And the kill goes to Courtney Thomas out of the middle of the court.
Just talking about Keene real quick. Nice play there ultimately by the Badgers. But for Keene, second on the team, 2.92 kills per set coming into the NCAA tournament. Was a team leader in hit percentage as well. Really a player that they need to kind of try and come back in this one against a number 4 ranked Badgers team.
Early, tipping the ball over after Neo's pass, and Bates could not get there in time. Looked like the ball just hit the line. And it is 2-2 as number 13, Ileana Lovejoy, goes back to serve for the Redbirds.
Real quickly, a point that really needs to be made is for the Redbirds, you're down 2-0, but it's not a time to panic. As the Badgers
But Haley Nelson finding the holes in the defense like she did last night versus Western Michigan, just absolutely nailing that kill in the middle of the court.
So a couple things to keep in mind for the Redbirds as the Badgers trying to disprove my point right away. The Redbirds have not lost in straight sets since November 8th of 2013. That's early last season. They also have 3 0-2 comebacks this season as well. It's going to be a tough order against the number 4 seed Badgers, but don't sleep on the Redbirds yet. A team capable of coming back in this one. They beat Marquette last night after going down 0-2.
That's correct, and the Redbirds are known for coming back. They did that in the MVC Championship for their conference title. Carlini outside to Chapman. Chapman swings middle of the court, dug up by Orick. Early back set to Smith. Smith tries to find a hole, but Carlini gets the up. Thomas slide to Thompson, but Thomas gets the up. Kelly Bates pushes it over to the Redbirds to make them play. Schneider with the kill. Thompson again on the slide, and she is successful this time with that connection with Courtney Thomas.
If at first you don't succeed, try again, but do something a little different. That was the case there. A nice slide by Dominique Thompson on the near side.
And if you look at this is what Wisconsin is so good at. As you see, Carlini staying back to pass. Thomas, an older, she used to be a setter the first 2 years here, reading that, doing the slide for Thompson. Just really good out-of-system team as Carlini and Thompson combined for that block right there.
Just talking about Lauren Carlini, one of the things that impresses Kelly Sheffield, the head coach for the Badgers, most about her, you talk about her play on the court, but the time she takes to watch film, to work with her teammates both in and out of practice, they have a great chemistry as a team. Unforced error here by the Badgers, but that's what makes them so strong. They have a lot of depth, but they still work together so well as a team, and it starts at that setter position with Carlini.
Absolutely. As Rush's serve, up by Maury. Thompson unsuccessful with the hit as she goes up, but it is not pancaked up there. Looked like it was Rush there who tried to get under it, and that is a kill point for the Badgers. Ellen Chapman back to serve.
A little battle at the net. You see Dominique Thompson there breathing a little heavy. She did a lot of work to ultimately get that point for the Badgers.
Chapman with an ace for the Badgers. Oh, the up ref calls it out of bounds.
One of the line refs, initially put the flag down, but then he changed his mind. He patted his chest saying, "My bad, I put the flag in the wrong spot." He ultimately called it out as well, but a pretty easy decision by the up ref either way.
Yes, as you can see, the line judges, they ultimately can see better than anybody else right there, calling it out. Orick, though, with the serve. Demi Morales for the Badgers passes that, and Bates is absolutely stuffed by Smith and Keene there on the weak side.
defensively for Illinois State. Not the strongest team in terms of blocks. That was a nice one right there, though, right in the face of Kelly Bates.
Keene trying to get that kill, but is unsuccessful. Early goes out to Neo. Neo tips, dug by Morales. Slide to Thompson, and again, Thompson down the line on the slide. She is so good at that. She has been so good at that all season. If you watch this replay, again, great pass there by Morales. Back set, and then Thompson just driving that ball down the line.
Following up on the point on the blocks, Badgers now lead 7-1 in that category. Really the only weakness for the Redbirds in the MVC, they were 4th in that category with blocks per set.
Morey with the dig. Thomas will set that outside to Bates. And a lift will be called for the Redbirds, and Wisconsin will get that point back as Morey runs immediately back to serve again.
That's the case for the Redbirds. They were starting to get their fans into it, trying to get a little momentum. Just like a service error, though, stopping the momentum with that lift. An unforced error once again by Illinois State.
Good up by Niao. Back set to Smith is a little bit tipped. Keene goes up to get that smash, but it is still in play. Redbirds have the ball. Smith tipping again. Bates getting a chunk of it. Early, Badgers want the call for 4 hits, but they will not get it. The crowd is not happy with this one.
Coach Sheffield can't believe it. He's looking at the up ref right now saying, how's that not 4 hits? Ultimately, the call, though, will stand. Point for Illinois State off the deflection out of bounds.
Call will stand, and we will play on as Burris goes to serve. Morales with the pass. Carlini, a little quick set to Nelson. Popped up by Bates. Carlini back out to Bates. Bates tries to go down line, but it is out of bounds. And just like that, it is 8-8 here on Wisconsin's home court.
Credit to Illinois State. Like we've talked about, a team that doesn't give up. They have not lost in straight sets since November of last year.
Good save there by Carlini. Early going for the dump, and one Badger got a little bit of a piece of that, but it will not be enough. And the Redbirds will pull ahead by 1 point, 9-8. Burris continues serving. Bates with the pass. Carlini to Thomas in the back row. Who gets the kill? Just a nice little tap there by Courtney Thomas. Such a versatile player. She can pass, she can set, she can play defense, she can read the defense as a hitter. Just somebody who has been very consistent for the Badgers in her 4-year career here. 4th
on the team in kills per set, 3rd in hit percentage, 2nd with assists per set, 4th in service aces. You said it, Elise, does it all.
And an error there for Wisconsin. Starting to see some momentum shift. Wisconsin making a little more errors. As Niao goes back to serve for the Redbirds. Morales pops that one up. It goes over. Early will go outside to rush. It is blocked by Thomas and Nelson.
All made possible by Demi Morales, a diving dig. And we mentioned he has a 32-inch vertical. She can jump in the air, that time diving all the way back from the back row. Able to make the play, just getting the ball over, and then credit for the Badgers staying on top of the play, getting the kill.
And Morales there, some great action from her in the back row on defense. Ball goes outside to Rush. It is tapped by Carlini. Wisconsin, Chapman will send it over. Early will go for the 3 zone for Rush as Wisconsin, again, just playing the ball out, making the Redbirds play. Chapman there, getting that point for Wisconsin, staying with the ball, sticking with the ball, keeping your eye on the ball, and getting that point.
That's a situation where you got 2 teams completely out of system defensively and offensively, trying to just figure out what to do on the far side of the net. Ultimately, the Badgers getting the better of Illinois State.
A little bit of a shank there from Niao, but the ball is free ball over to the Badgers side. Nelson tries to go for the tip, but she's unsuccessful. Keene back sets to Rush. The pass is up from Chapman. It goes back to Chapman from Carlini. Her cross court is unsuccessful. Orick with up. Rush again of the hit as Kelly Bates digs that one out. Ellen Chapman finally gets her kill. Back of the court, Niao didn't have enough gusto to get there.
And that's the case of the Badgers staying patient, getting the digs defensively, setting up the offense. Ellen Chapman, on that occasion, just off the block, able to go between the 2 players. You saw it on the replay off their hands.
Right between the hands of Early there. Oh, as she stuffs another play, a slide from Keene. That is tough to defend.
10 blocks now for the Badgers, only 1 for Illinois State.
And that forces the timeout. The Badgers now leading 13-10. We'll step away for a few moments, but we will be right back here on Big Ten Network. Welcome back to the UW Fieldhouse in Madison, Wisconsin. This is NCAA Tournament Division I Volleyball. We have the Wisconsin Badgers facing off against the Illinois State Redbirds. Wisconsin is leading the match 2-0. Kelly Bates, the freshman for Wisconsin, to serve. Passed up by Burris, early back to Keene, and Carlini and Bates both missing the ball. Hits the floor. Redbirds get that point.
Nice job by Illinois State out of the timeout, trying to get some momentum back. I like the timeout called there by their head coach, Melissa Myers. In her 7th season, has seen a lot of success with this team, getting them back into the NCAA tournament. Had a good timeout there.
And the set to Thomas is just a rip down the line.
Good gracious. I mean, not much you can do about that. I mean, Illinois State really in good position, but you just see how much power Courtney Thomas puts behind the ball, just rearing up behind the net.
On that double block, too. Nelson with the serve. Early goes outside to Rush. It is blocked by Thomas and Thompson, and that ball will fall just inside of the left-hand side of the court.
I know you played some volleyball, Elise. I have to ask you, as hard as Courtney Thomas hits the ball, does your shoulder get tired at some point?
It does get tired. I always used to be worried about having one arm bigger than the other from hitting and serving, but it never happened.
Credit to Illinois State here picking up the point. Thought I'd ask you because Courtney Thomas can certainly put a lot of power behind that one, but credit to Illinois State. Right when the Badgers trying to pull away, getting important points there back at the service line. Good
serve there by Early, now in the back row. A little bit of a late jump there by Thompson, but the ball is still in play. Carlini pops it up outside to Chapman. Niao with the pop-up. Early, quick set to Schneider, and Schneider, another kill for her out of the middle.
Taylor Morey not happy with herself there. Thought she was going to try and get a dig. Just couldn't get that arm up in time. Here's Illinois State. This is a big moment here, trying to whittle away at the lead.
Chapman there with the touch. Bates will pop it up to Chapman as she'll tip it over. Oric will pop that one up. Early goes to the middle for Schneider, but Carlini pops that one up. Thomas roll over the block. It is saved by Smith. Goes outside to Rush. Just off of the net. Some miscommunication by the Badgers, but they still play it. And Early setting back there for Smith. It is touched by Thompson, and the ball goes rolling out of bounds. Illinois State has now just pulled themselves within 1 point of Wisconsin, and here come the comeback kids.
You betcha. Came back down 0-2 last night to beat Marquette in 5 sets. They've done it 3 times this season. The Badgers were out of system much of that last possession.
Again, a little shank there by Bates, but Chapman gets it in, and Morey keeps it in play. Early with a one-handed set. Schneider, but it's dug up by Carlini. Thomas will take that set, and Chapman will be blocked. Morey could not, she got a piece of it, but couldn't quite pop that one up for the dig.
And right now, Illinois State's keeping the Badgers out of system. They're doing different things at the net. The Badgers not receiving the ball well off the serve. And as a result, right now, Illinois State looking more composed on the court. They've netted things up at 15.
And we're all tied up here at 15. As Early goes to serve again, and it is out of bounds. Wow.
Boy. And you know, I know they're an aggressive serving team, so that's going to happen, but I believe that's their 7th on the evening. At a certain point, you've got it back to a tie if you're Illinois State, trying to really build that momentum, get your fans into it, but that error kills all of it.
And Early trying a tricky play there on the set. Thomas will set that outside to Chapman, who gets the kill.
And here come the Badgers. They're going to take advantage now. Now that they have the serve, Ellen Chapman hitting that one off the block. For Illinois State, if you want to pick up this 3rd set, you need to play clean volleyball. We'll see if the Badgers can continue to be at the service line, not give them that option.
Thomas's serve is good as the set goes to Smith, and Morey reaching for it, but not able to get enough hands on that one. Rush to serve for the Redbirds. Ball is up and over and in as Thomas passes. Carlini outside to Chapman. Chapman drives. And Schneider, another kill. The Redbirds seem to be making the adjustments just like they did with Marquette in that 3rd set. If Wisconsin wants to end this here and now and move on and keep their winning streak, both teams with the winning streaks right now, as we talked about in the beginning, on the line, but a lot more than just that. As Rush misses another serve for the Redbirds.
That's number 8 now. I don't want to keep, beating a dead horse here, Elise, but, Illinois State, they knot it back up. It's back to 17, looking strong. Another error, though, really starting to hurt them. If you're a Badger fan, you know what it feels like in the Penn State match last year.
Oric there with a little bit of a shank, but Redbirds play it, and Thompson goes for the slide. It's blocked out of bounds by Neo and Schneider.
So for the Wisconsin Badgers, such a strong team at home, 12-1 this season at home, also winning a match last night in what is more or less a home game, even though it's technically neutral site for the NCAA. So tough to win. Badgers trying to get all 4,800 fans back into it. Third nationally in the country are Badgers at attendance.
And Oric will send that one over as Thompson digs it up. Thompson on the slide again, Thomas on that popping the ball up, and Thompson on the slide yet again as a timeout is called on the court. And we'll be right back after this. Wisconsin leading the Redbirds 20-17. And we're back. You're watching Big Ten Network, NCAA tournament action, Division I volleyball here, facing off tonight on the court of the UW Fieldhouse, the Wisconsin Badgers and the Illinois State Redbirds. Ellen Chapman for the Badgers, back to serve. Niao, pass up, goes to Schneider, but it's dug up by Thomas. Carlini sends it out to Bates, and Bates is blocked again by Smith there and Schneider on the outside, as Schneider will go out, and the freshman Jalen Keene, who had her career high of 19 kills last night, will come in for the Redbirds.
Only 3 blocks on the night for Illinois State, but I believe Emily Schneider and Eliza Smith have been part of every single one of them.
Pass by Morales, a try for a slide there by Thompson, but she's unsuccessful. Carlini out to Bates. That is dug up by the Redbirds. Thompson there trying to get something done, but goes nowhere. Thomas set outside to Bates. Bates tries to tip it, but it's dug up by Early. Oric set outside to Smith. Touched by no Badgers as they gain the point.
For a moment there, I thought the Badgers had touched him, going, why aren't they running after the ball to try and get the dig? Ultimately, good awareness.
I thought the same thing. It looked like they had touched it, but it just went off the net. Maury back to serve for the Badgers. Pass there by Rush. Early goes back to Smith. Nearly blocked by Nelson. Nearly blocked by Nelson again and dug up by Oric. Early set to Smith. Tip over the block, but Maury pops that one up. Thomas is set in the back row, but she is dug up by Early. Oric setting again for Rush out of the back row. Thomas dig up to Maury. Nelson going around for the slide. Oric again with another dig. Set is back to Smith, and it is blocked by Bates and Nelson. The Wisconsin Badgers now leading 22-18.
You want to see how to dig if you're a volleyball coach. Back and forth we went, but ultimately Illinois State all bunched up towards the net. Nobody in the back row to try and make a play defensively.
Maury serve. Oric pass up to Early. Early middle for Keene, and it is blocked out of bounds. And on that last replay, as you can see, just tremendous work by middle blocker there, Haley Nelson. That reach of her left hand trying to close that block. Tremendous job there by the Wisconsin defense. Burris back to serve. Ball is up, and Morales takes another pass. Set is to Bates, but it's a tip. Oric sets there to Early, and she hits the ball around the antenna. Wisconsin now within reach of sweeping the Redbirds 23-19. Can they do it, Scott?
A lot of streaks on the line right now. The Redbirds have won 23 matches in a row. They have not lost in straight sets since last November. All that's in jeopardy as we have match point.
And Bates there setting up match point. Again, the electrifying freshman. Tremendous net play. Plays as though she has a lot of experience, even though she is only a freshman. Carlini with the serve. Neo up. Set goes to Neo. The ball is hit out, and the Wisconsin Badgers have swept the Illinois State Redbirds. The Redbirds' reign has ended in their winning streak, and the Badgers continues with their 21st match win in a row here, their last game under the lights of the UW Fieldhouse.
The number 4 seed looked like the number 4 seed tonight. Credit to the Badgers. A lot of players getting involved. Ultimately 40 kills for the Badgers. The hit percentage, not the greatest, but the Badgers minimized mistakes, got several players involved, played Wisconsin volleyball, and they're on Wisconsin to the Louisville Regional.
So with that, the Illinois State Redbirds fall to the number 4 ranked Wisconsin, as they will head out to the third round of this NCAA Division I tournament. Thank you for listening alongside me, Scott Memel. My name is Elise Romas, and thanks for listening to Big Ten Network.